The Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions. The world champion OKC Thunder. How did it happen? How did they win Game 7? What does it mean? All coming up on today's show.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're talking about your Oklahoma City Thunder being world champions, winning their first NBA championship, taking care of the Indiana Pacers in game number 7, still rocking and rolling here at the Paycom Center. The celebrations have continued into the break of dawn in the Paycom Center. Nobody wants to go home, but we do have to record a podcast, one of very many that we'll have. Look, obviously, I pride myself and think of myself as a man of big picture rhetoric here on Locked On Thunder and well thought out, well planned podcast. I'll be honest with you. This is Locked On Thunder off script. This is Locked On Thunder sans outline. This is just the emotion, the recap, the on-the-fly nature of a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. We'll be back, of course. This is a daily podcast. We'll have plenty of time to be all stuffy and snooty, but for right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions, winning 103-91 in Game 7. A Game 7 that nobody really knew what was going to happen in. I mean, you're talking pregame to people from Indiana, people here locally. Nobody thought anything in any certain way with any sort of conviction, right? They could have seen a multitude of outcomes happening, but this was the outcome tonight. Perhaps another night would have been the Pacers' night. Tonight was the Thunder's night in this ball game, and it didn't start out great for OKC in the sense of it was a back and forth game. There were certain moments, like the end of the first quarter, where the Thunder looked really good. There were dicey moments, like the second quarter in general, where the Thunder stumbled a little bit, and then at a halftime, this team put the perfect ending to a historic season. Nobody has to agree with you, but the fact remains that this is a historically great team. From all that they've done, from what they've done starting in October till now, it's all encompassing. You can't just grade this on how one series, partook a series in which you still won and still won the NBA championship. Yes, the NBA Finals at times got dicey for Oklahoma City, but the entire resume for the Thunder is historic. The entire resume for SGA is one of the best seasons we've ever seen from an individual player. You cannot like it. You can fight it. You can run from it. It's reality, though. And eventually, reality sets in. Eventually, you have to shine a light on what happened, and light is the best truth serum. And the truth is, the Thunder are world champions. The Thunder put together a great season and, again, ended it the perfect way because out of halftime, whenever they were down by 1, they were flying around. And what they were doing was playing lockdown defense on Indiana, who ends up with 91 points on 41, 39, 75 shooting splits. Indiana wins the rebounding battle, but loses the turnover battle 21-7, which let the Thunder get out into some transition opportunities and into some chances in the non-half court, which propelled their offense, which still stumbled at times in the half court. We can talk about that a different day, but really the second half was the Thunder playing to their identity of being a historically great team, was SGA hitting tough shots by getting to his spots routinely, and was his co-stars doing not only just enough, but more than what you would expect from a third-year guy and a year-and-a-half guy. Chet Holmgren's like Lion King 1.5. He was drafted in 2022. He's only played 1.5 years of NBA basketball, and the half comes after being bedridden for the majority of this season. So what those two guys did in the third quarter put to rest all of the worries of them being too young, because clearly they just won the championship, but also it should be really scary for the rest of the league if this is what this team looks like already, with where they're at, with the adversity that they faced, and what they're still building, what they're still going to get better at. But the second half, it was historically great defense. It was getting out and running more, and it was responses. And this whole season has been about responses. They responded to a bad second quarter. Whenever they'd go on these runs, Indiana would call the timeouts. And what happens historically in this series, after Rick Carlisle, who's one of the biggest crybabies in the world, more on that later, after Rick Carlisle would call timeouts, the Pacers would retaliate with a run of their own. And that's how Indiana's been able to not only stay in this series, but push it to 7. And this time, the Thunder kept the foot on the gas. I mean, their 22-point lead that they grew in the fourth quarter eventually did dip down to 10 points. But right when that happened, they shoved the Pacers aside and kept them at arm's length until eventually time ran out. Was it perfect? No. Was this a 48-minute masterpiece? No. But the core principles of why they won this game were the seeds that they planted back in October and were the seeds that they nurtured to eventually blossom in June to be champions. They weathered the storm in this game, 11 lead changes, 10 ties, and the Thunder had control in the second half and end up getting this championship. SGA gets finals MVP, and what a game. I mean, historically speaking, Game 7s are a rock fight. They're played in the mud. This one, no different. So the efficiency numbers are horrendous for Shai, not even just by his standards, just in general. I mean, he shot 29% from the floor. He shot 16% from three. Some of that was Shai reverting back to what we talked about in the Denver series, where you're hunting for the kill shot a little bit too much. But some of that was just the nature of a Game 7, where it's more physical and you are having to go up against, of course, a desperate, urgent defense that was playing great for Indiana. But all in all, this was a great game from Shai. 29 points, 12 assists. The ways that he was not only getting to his spot despite the best effort from Indiana to keep him from the elbow, keep him from that baseline jumper, keep him out of the paint. Indiana did everything right. It just didn't matter because Shai is simply better, because Shai is simply that guy. But once he got to those spots, instead of kind of having the tunnel vision for 48 minutes of trying to score, the amount of times that he sprayed the ball out, made the right read, and executed difficult passes. I mean, multiple jump passes, multiple whip passes to the corner, and skip passes on the outside whenever he was working outside, beyond the three-point line, led to the 12 assists and led to a Thunder offense that did just enough in the half court. And that was the difference tonight versus the losses for OKC, was that not only did they get out and run more, and they still weren't perfect in transition, but they got to get out and run more to eliminate some of those half court chances. And then in the half court, it was far from beautiful. At times, it looked like the Great Plains Comanche County tournament with Chattanooga playing, where you just couldn't buy a bucket. But they did enough in the margins because of Shai and what he did to lead this team to get this NBA championship. And what a game it was from Shai. I mean, Shai was awesome. We mentioned the third quarter. Chet had 18 points. It felt like they all came in the third quarter. Him and Jalen and Shai, the first 32 points of the third, 22 of them came from that trio. And that's been the trio that you've rode with this entire season. That's what this entire house of cards is built on, is those three guys. And those three guys in the biggest moments of this game had the biggest makes, had the biggest opportunities. I mean, whenever the game was dicey, Chet Holmgren's massive rebound and getting put to the free throw line was huge. Like, these guys had the big opportunities and moments to win an NBA championship. Lou Dort only had 9 points, but one of the 2 threes that he hit was an actual miracle. I mean, this thing looked like it was a angels in the outfield type of heroics to pull off for Lou. But you cannot say enough, and we'll segue into kind of the big picture stuff about Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, Hartenstein a quieter night than Caruso, but Hartenstein still delivered, man. I mean, the 4 assists were huge. Again, all those coming in the half court. 9 rebounds to help on the glass, 7 points from him. Again, limited minutes because of the series, but how can you make yourself impactful? In those limited minutes, he was a net positive. Shai was a plus 11. Jada was a plus 13. Chat was a plus 10. Alex Caruso a plus 8. And Alex Caruso, you can say what you want about the box scores and how other guys have flashier box scores. You do not win this NBA championship without Alex Caruso. You just don't. What he did as a steadying presence for this Thunder team was big. What he did generating plays, he had a steal, one of his 3, where he broke on the ball perfectly. That should be shown. As an Eisenhower alum who hopes to see the Eagles restore back to glory, that should be shown in the Eagles DB room this entire summer, teaching our DBs how to get some interceptions and go the other way, because Alex Caruso was a maniac out there. So was Cason Wallace, who had 3 steals as well. And it was just a great moment to where you look up and down this box where you can remember plays from everybody who played to help win this game. And that's what it takes into Game 7. It's all hands on deck, and you need contributions from everybody. The Thunder got that, and the Thunder win the NBA championship. Coming up, legacies, moments, behind the scenes, all of it from the Thunder's NBA championship. But first, I want to say right now, but good friends over at Olipop, go check out Olipop today. I cannot wait to get home and crack open an Olipop, because it's a new kind of soda made for people who love the classic taste of soda, but want something that supports their health. There's just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of probiotic fiber in every can. Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that is better for your gut. Traditional sodas are loaded with sugar, like 39 grams of sugar in regular Coke, 44 grams in orange Fanta. Olipop flips that script, and they allow you to have the fraction of the sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and gut-friendly ingredients like Oli Smart, a blend shown to support digestive systems, overall health, and it's great tasting as well. It tastes just like the real thing and actually does something good for your body, especially, I'm going to pop one open when I get home, because tonight, while old in a traditional sense, we're working the graveyard shift today, folks. We still got riding. We still got more pods to do. This is just the beginning of the fallout from this game. So I'm going to need that caffeine boost from Olipop. And so you can try a billion flavors, but my personal favorites, cherry cola, can't go wrong with that. And Dr. Godwin, their Dr. Pepper dupe, is insanely good. Dr. Godwin, I mean, no disparagement to Dr. Pepper, but Dr. Godwin went to a way more certified university, credited university, if you will. So go check it out today and get yourself a free can of Olipop. How can you do that? Well, you can buy any 2 cans at a grocery store. They're going to reimburse you for 1. Head on over to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can. Find Olipop near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. When you buy 2 cans at any store, they will reimburse you for 1. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. The halls and the bowels of the Paycom Center are still extremely busy. It's like a New York City subway down here, because nobody wants to leave the scene of the crime where the Thunder win their first NBA championship, and just what a special moment it was. I mean, there's so many things to think about that it's almost overstimulating, but the first and foremost thing is, the small microscopic part that this show plays in all of this can be used as a vessel to just explain the emotions of a Game 7. I don't want to act like, that we're best buddies with a ton of people in the organization, but close friends with very many behind the scenes people, and of course know the players very well from the years of coverage. And first and foremost, Sam Presti. I mean, credit to Clay Bennett, and without him, there is no team in Oklahoma City, and him getting moved to tiers was really, as an Oklahoman, emotional, because this is a guy who allowed the Thunder to be in Oklahoma City, and allowed Oklahoma City to now, and the state of Oklahoma to now have a legacy beyond tragedy, and that cannot be understated. I know it's just sports, but when you talk about Oklahoma outside of this border, the thing that people know are tornadoes and bombings. And now they're going to know NBA championships. Now they know the Thunder. Now they know a passionate community that rallies around one another, not just in grief, but in triumph. And that is only possible with Clay. But you move on to Sam Presti and the leadership that he's brought to this organization. It cannot go underrated. Small market teams are not supposed to do this. And you can say, well, do what? Win 1 championship? That's going to be the dismissive argument. 1 championship in a small market is no small feat. 1 championship in a small market for a team that's only been here since 2008 and has been competitive and contending for every single year. But let's see, the 2 that they missed after trading the Russ, and the year before that they bursted onto the scene. So 3, I'll give you 4 seasons where they weren't contending since 2008. That's not supposed to happen to places like Oklahoma City. The league is not set up for that to happen for places like Oklahoma City. And for it to be done in this way, where Sam Presti builds a champion the right way for his market. Now, this is not, I'm not disparaging any championship. They're all hard. In a small market, your realistic resources are so limited. Because how many times have people put the feet to the fire of Sam Presti demanding that he goes and makes some big trade? I mean, you can look no further than this current rebuild, which has them set up for a potential dynasty, which is going to be all the talk today. Throughout this current rebuild, the narratives for 2 seasons that you weren't competitive was that you're wasting Shai, was that they have all these draft picks and he's too afraid to go make a move, was that this team was going to just have to surrender all these guys for free, and they couldn't keep all their players together, and they were going to have to eventually push all in. And avoiding that temptation and instant gratification, which oftentimes blows up in your face. You look around the NBA, the teams who go make the splashy trade for a star, the teams who go overpay in free agency, they're the ones not hoisting Larry O'Brien trophies. To stay the course and build a second viable and now we're projecting, but viable and sustained run in a place like this, you cannot put anyone in that job and have that happen. In fact, I think you've got the only guy in that job that could make that happen. And so for him to finally get an NBA championship and to take the only faint criticism off of his resume, again, if you have any involvement at all from a fan, media, or anything else perspective with his organization, it is impossible to not appreciate that, feel good for Sam personally, and you know, again, Sam, I'm not going to act like I get beers with him on the weekends, although I'd love to. He's a tremendous guy from the behind the scenes stuff, and then you know how he's forward facing, presenting. But he truly is a great guy. And so, from Clay to Sam to the players, I mean, the players who's been here for the entire rebuild, and the players who have bought in and sacrificed. Like this team came together quickly, but coming together quickly did not absolve them from adversity. Let's just look at this season where you had Chet Holmgren shatter his hip on November 10th, be bedridden, get back on the floor earlier than anybody would have ever anticipated, including the Thunder. And the Thunder do not do this. Like bringing guys back early, like that is hard to do, right? He got back early from a broken hip and helped you in a championship. His box is the only bad thing from this, from a Thunder perspective, is that for Chet Holmgren, the box score, when we look back on history, won't do it justice, and it's up to the preservation of the game, and it's up to the storytellers of the game to understand that the Thunder do not win tonight, in the sense of they don't have 4 finals wins in this series without Chet Holmgren's defense. And the fact that he was that impactful in this series after breaking his hip just shows you that the ceiling that he has, where he's admitting to you that like the body is not close to where it needs to be because of that injury. And he battled his way back to not only play and just be out there, but to produce, but to help you win. And they went through injuries with Isaiah Hartenstein, Jay Will, Kenrich Williams, J Dub had injuries. Alex Caruso hardly played in the regular season, which paid off in the postseason, and on down the line. They've had to deal with situations where, you know, guys have had to sacrifice their roles. Just this series, Cason Wallace goes from starter back to the bench. He can't find it on offense, but they stuck with him, and he had 2 great games down in game 5 and 7, where you can attribute a lot of the success of the pie chart of those 2 of the 4 wins that you need for a championship to Cason Wallace, a second-year player. Right? The adversity that they've gone through this season cannot be dismissed. And it kind of will be, because it looks easy, right? It looks easy whenever you win 68 games and that you go wire to wire as the best team in the NBA and into the title. But they had to battle through some stuff this season. They had to make a very tough call to trade Josh Giddey, a guy who they handpicked, a guy that really started, was the first guy of the true rebuild, and had a great relationship with that locker room, and had many believers in this, still does have many believers in this organization. But they had to make a tough call for the betterment of the team and kind of sacrifice on that. And the rest of the guys who stayed around, they had to sacrifice roles as well for Caruso coming in, for Ihart coming in. I mean, Jay Will went from your starting center when Chet was out to your only backup center when Chet was healthy to now a swing rotational piece. And there's no better guy in that locker room to help you prepare for games at practice, to help you keep a locker room together, to give you energy off the bench when he's not even playing. To as Mark said in Indiana this week, like when things got tough in game 4, the voice in the timeout, the voice galvanizing that team to make that game 4 comeback was Jay Will, a guy who is watching a title unfold on a team that he once had a role on, but has had to sacrifice his own personal minutes for the betterment of the team. Like that is just the background on the Thunder that makes this so cool for this individual team, that makes this championship so awesome for this Thunder squad. And now they've won one. They've got the proverbial monkey off their back of winning a championship through all of the heartache. And I know they've only been around since 2008, but you can point to the injuries to Russ and KD. You can point to the James Harden trade. You can point to Game 6 Clay. You can point to PJ Washington going scorched earth, although that's a little bit of a stretch. Like you can point to these different things in Thunder history that made it feel defeatist at times, and they just continue to chip away and eventually get here. Mark, as a guy that was hired and everyone thumbed their nose at it, it's just, oh, he's a lame duck coach that's going to rack up these losses. And no, he's actually a genius. He's actually a basketball genius. He's actually one of the select few to win a championship. I think that the stats like 13% of all NBA coaches have ever won an NBA championship. One of them is Mark. Guess what? Mark has as many NBA championships as Rick Carlisle does. And Mark has produced better teams than Rick Carlisle has as well, because these are his guys that he's developed. He didn't just get to walk in here one day and have this roster. These are guys that Mark have put his imprint on. Even to Alex Caruso, when those two guys were both in the OKC Blue system and he was coaching Caruso in the G League. Like Mark's fingerprints, not only just from having the title of coach, but his sweat equity is in this team. So from the top down, man, it'll be hard-pressed to find a championship and a champion that has this many layers to the onion as this Thunder team does. And so it's great for them. It's great for this city. It's great for the listeners. It's great for everything. Great for business. It's great for everything. Coming up, what was it like after the Thunder won a championship, and what will the future look like for OKC? We'll tease part of that conversation and dive into it some more, of course, throughout the week. But first, I want to say right now, but good friends over at Monarch Money, folks, go check out Monarch Money. Make sure that you know that if you've ever checked your banking account and wondered where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, traveling to playoff games, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. It's an all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can just use Monarch Money to track your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off of your first year. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. What a night, what a day that will live in history, that will just never be forgotten, at least in this state. That started out with a bang, because crybaby Rick Carlisle waltzes into his post-game press conference, and this is the start of the behind-the-scenes stuff, waltzes into his post-game press conference, gets asked a innocuous question by a non-local beat reporter. Just nothing. It's just a nothing question, frankly. And he says, yeah, I'm not going to answer that. I'm too busy thinking about the fact I just saw a viral video of the Thunder having buses wrapped in championship paraphernalia for their parade, and that's really fired him up. Oh, the old ball coach is really going to go to the locker room, and he's going to show him the video, and he's going to say, Therese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, they're planning a parade. They've got a bus. They've got buses. Guys, on Tuesday morning, they're planning to drive buses around this city as champions. And what are you going to do about it? And that's all Rick Carlisle's thinking about before the game. Guess what, Rick? Those same buses are in Indiana right now, wrapped in Pacers championship paraphernalia that's never going to get driven. They're going to have to scrap all that work because the Thunder ruined your parade. They ruined your preparation. They ruined your planning. The Thunder executed theirs, though. They executed their planning. And let me tell you another thing, Rick. If your ball club, for Game 7 of the NBA Finals, the 20th ever Game 7 in the history of this Finals, for a ragtag bunch of Pacers who are a storybook and not consistent winners, but a storybook Cinderella that turned into a pumpkin in Game 7. If your Pacers needed extra motivation for a Game 7, like buses, you probably shouldn't have shown up. You probably shouldn't have hurt the environment to fly to Oklahoma City and show up today, Rick Carlisle. That was ridiculous. That was the biggest piece of malarkey that has came out of this NBA Finals, and Stephen A. Smith played solitaire, right? That was the biggest crock from this Finals, was Rick Carlisle taking the podium and having the goal to talk about buses that got leaked on Twitter. Rick, you probably thought too much about him. Frankly, you probably shouldn't have been on Twitter 2 hours before the game when this got leaked. You probably should have been focused on Game 7. Probably should have been focused on getting your guys prepared. Probably should have been focused on how you can win a series. And Rick, you've won a championship. You know how this happens. You know, hey, Rick, when you win a championship with Dallas, did you think that the shirts that you put on and the hats that you wore and the champagne that you popped, did you think it teleported there? Or did you think perhaps, maybe, there was a slight chance that there were shirts already made, that there were plans already in place? Did you ever consider that, Rick? Hey, Rick, by the way, there's somewhere in this building, there's Pacers championship t-shirts. I hope you got one. I hope you got one to remember it. And remember this night, Rick Carlisle. That was ridiculous, and that was shameful. To sit up there and act like this was a Thunder organization that was so overconfident in Game 7 that they were making buses already. They get to ride in theirs, and you don't, Rick. Your buses proverbially crashed tonight, Rick. So take that with you back to Indiana. In 49 other states, Rick Carlisle, in 49 other states, it's just bus wrapping. But dang it, this is Oklahoma. And we take bus wrapping seriously. And we wrap our buses well. And we have a parade to go to on Tuesday. So that was the first behind-the-scenes thing. Then, of course, after the game, waltz into the locker room. And the first thing that happened was that J-Dub was in the room. And he didn't quite know that the media was let in at this time. He has back to the media, and he's telling all of his teammates to touch the trophy. Everybody get a touch of the trophy. Then he turns, and now there's a sea of reporters in front of him, and he goes, "Sorry, guys, you guys cannot touch the trophy, unfortunately." And so that was pretty funny. That was classic J-Dub as a situation where even in a unexpected environment, even in a candid environment, if you will, still the same guy he is at the podium. He's still the same guy he is at practice. And, those stories are pretty cool. Then in the actual locker room, where the champagne had been popped, and that ceiling has seen better days, folks. That ceiling was soaked in champagne. The floors were sticky. I had never smelled champagne before. I now know what it smells like. It's seared into my nostrils right now. So that was great. But a Thunder staffer waltzed up to this spread of alcohol, everything you could want. And somebody has been listening to Locked on Thunder and Thunder After Dark. They had my personal favorites. They had Mickey Ultra, Miller Lite. I mean, they had the good stuff in there. Somebody walked up into the spread and said, "This is the most organized celebration I've ever seen." And I could not summarize what the scene was in the locker room any more perfectly. It was the most organized, thought out, the most buttoned up celebration that you will ever see. And that's classic Thunder. And that's who they've been. and they didn't change it for winning a championship, and that was pretty cool as well. Kenrich Williams was having a blast. He walked in there and told a Thunder assistant coach, and if I'm not mistaken, this assistant coach is a guy that joined the team in the postseason from the blue, and he said, "I told you, we aren't going to lose tonight. It's Sunday, and we don't lose on Sundays." And he's right. The Thunder pretty good on Sundays. But the Thunder had a lot of fun post game. Mark even broke character at the end of his press conference when he was asked if the Thunder finally 1-0. That was hilarious. But again, the celebration portion was just kind of taking in the feeling of them being champions, of watching the guys run into the locker room. We were outside the tunnel after they got off of the trophy stage. They came back, of course, to the hallways and the bowels of the arena to get into the locker room, and just watching the guys one by one sprinting in there, screaming things like world champs, screaming things like where's that champagne, and just the excitement level, the planning of where to go next, even though they hung around Bagel Center for another 3 hours after that, was just something special. And you can't say enough about the behind the scenes people too, and even some of the forward facing people like Nick Gallo, Paris Lawson, Matt Tumbleson, Matty T, my guy, Cole, and Oos, back-to-back G League champs. Got to share a hug with Oos, as we both have covered now, have been a part of now. Him playing more important than me and winning Finals MVP, and me covering back-to-back champions in OKC Blue and OKC Thunder. And so him and Cole, can't take that away from those two guys. They're back-to-back champs, and I'm just a back-to-back podcaster about champions. Some of us have it better in life than others, huh? So I just think that it was a lot of fun being a part of it, and none of this is possible without you guys. I mean, if you guys did not listen to this show, if you guys did not embrace this show and help revitalize this show, I mean, this show was dormant whenever I took it over, and to build it back to where it is today because of you guys is why I got to experience things like a championship locker room, things I will never forget. I truly never forget. I'm truly humbled to be. Again, I cannot stress enough how small of a part, but a small part of what happened tonight. Just taking it all in to deliver it to you of what we saw. And now, I hate to sound like LeBron James, but now you're thinking not one, not two, not three. Of course, championships are hard to win, but man, this team's only going to get better. And only getting better, I think people get confused with that, right? Whenever people like myself say that this team's only going to get better, they assume that we're talking about like, oh, so then next year they're going for the finals in 5. No. They can get better while never winning a championship ever again. Because that's where people have the misconception of what that 2012 picture was of Harden and Russ and KD. That 2012 picture was not some Marcus Dupree experience. It's been turned into that. The fodder around it, the commentary around it has been turned into that. But that KD Russ era had many a bites at the apple, had many a chances to get back to the finals and win a championship. Some of their best teams were derailed by injuries. Patrick Beverley with Russ. I mean, you had Kevin Durant being hurt. Like you had those injuries. You also saw them collapse in a 3-1 lead against the historic Golden State Warriors with Game 6 Clay. Like that team had plenty of chances to get back to that stage. That was not some feel sorry for me story in that first era. So that's how hard it is to win a championship, is my point. And this team will have a very hard climb to win another one. And we haven't had a repeat winner in this league for quite some time. So that in and of itself is a tough feat. But them getting better is a possibility and is a reality. Because even if they don't make any singular move, which we'll talk all offseason about what moves those should be, internally, we mentioned how Chet can get better just by simply fully rehabbing from his injury and adding things to his game. We've seen J-Dub right before our eyes in real time get better. He's a different player than he was when the playoffs started to where he is today. Much less an offseason of work, much less another season of NBA basketball under his belt. Every year we sit on the end of season show. First time ever we've done this on a win, but every year we put a cap on Shai and just say, well, that's the best it gets. He was a borderline all-star. That's the best it gets. He's probably going to be a borderline all-star his whole career. Oh, he's an actual all-star and all-star starter? Okay, now Okay, you can't really push the envelope much more than an all-star starter. Oh, he's an MVP candidate? Okay, well, then this is where it taps out. And now he did this because every year he's added to his game. He's added an improved three-point shot, which can still get better. And that's kind of the next avenue for him, is to be more consistent as a pull-up three-point shooter. But he's added playmaking. Like this, the playmaking leap that he made this year is jarring. It's jarring what he's able to do with the pass. And it goes back to tie it all together for one last point. What makes this championship so special is that everything that Sam Presti said about what this team's identity would be, about what this team's goals would be, about how this team would accomplish those goals has came true. And everything has followed a neat linear progression. And I know progression is not linear, but it was for this team. It was for this team. Because what did Sam Presti say after the final buzzer sounded against Dallas and the Thunder lost in round 2? Was that what the team realized was, you have to win in the playoffs with the pass, and Shai's playmaking tonight to set up open shots is why you won a championship. And those shots going down, of course, is why you won a championship. But the way that Shai was playmaking tonight, he could not do a year ago. So every year, Shai's gotten better. And until that stops, it's hard to doubt that. But Jalen and Chet for sure will be better. And then there's other ways to improve this roster, which we'll talk about all week long. This is just the beginning. It's every single day. We have the draft this week. We'll have bonus pods. We'll have double shows because we got to both do the fallout of a championship and the draft coverage all in one fell swoop. So we'll have a lot of stuff for you. Make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Thunder anywhere you get your podcast from, including on YouTube. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.